Joe, you got to talk first.
Me? Why?
Yeah. Okay.
Welcome to this social distancing episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
Welcome to Keeping Up the Kardashians Social Distance Edition, starring Joe and
Me.
Rob and Nick and special guest host for the day, Brody.
I finally made it. What's up, Brody?
The crowd goes absolutely mild.
Yeah.
You gotta love it. Yay.
Thank you for having me.
We're so glad to have you, Brody. This is a very special episode of Keeping Up the Kardashians where we talk about our cruise with Brody. We'll tell him how great it was and how much we hated Joe. And then we'll talk about some other things. It's going to be great. So thanks for joining us. So, first and foremost, Brody, do I see you have an N7 shirt on?
I sure do, because I love Mass Effect.
You do.
I also have it just like permanently on my arm because I love Mass Effect.
Mass Effect. Well, did you like Mass Effect Andromeda?
It was all right. It was a fine game.
Yeah.
It wasn't as good as the original trilogy. But
yeah, it's 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I just replayed the trilogy here last year because my kids have grown up with me loving Mass Effect and knowing N7, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll replay the trilogy. So we replayed it. They all really loved it, and then they were like, oh, we're gonna do the other one, and I was like, we'll just stick with the trilogy.
You can kind of pass it. It's not. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not great.
Also, fun fact is that with Mass Effect N7, so November 7th is Mass Effect Day, which is also my birthday. And when they started doing Mass Effect Day on November 7th, I was like, it's meant to be.
Yeah. That's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool. You're basically Shepard.
I am.
How amazing is that?
I had no idea what it was, so I'm glad someone informed me.
Oh, have neither of you played Mass Effect at all?
Holds up.
No,
still play it?
I have not.
The first one's a little rough.
First one is. But the remaster isn't as bad. They did some work on it. Made it easier to play.
Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3?
They're great storytelling as well. Great characters. Like, it's a video game that seems like it's designed to be on the big screen. And for years they were working on a series, but I think that's kind of fallen off again.
Last I heard was that Amazon was trying to make it into a show. But Amazon's trying to make everything into a show.
Yeah, because they're doing Warhammer right now with Henry Cavill. They got the Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. They're not the ones who did Halo, though. That was Paramount, right? And Paramount, that was terrible. Halo was terrible.
I didn't even watch it.
Just awful. Like,
yeah, but it's Paramount.
Yeah.
It's just like really,
yeah, you can't really.
Hey, Knuckles was good though. That was a Paramount thing. Knuckles.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen, and I heard the Jackal is really good. That's on Paramount.
And Section 31 was really good. I couldn't even.
It was funny.
I really tried.
But they do have Star Trek content.
The only reason I know about the Jackal is a joke that Nikki Glaser made at the Oscars about what's his name being on the Jackal and no one watching it because it's on Paramount. That's the only reason I knew about it.
Paramount also has all of the Mission Impossible movies.
That's right, Brody.
And I love Mission Impossible. I love my Tommy Cruise.
Yeah. And sometimes the Star Trek movies. The home of Star Trek sometimes has the Star Trek movies.
Sometimes.
The home of Star Trek on occasion.
Yeah.
They're actually on there all the time, but sometimes they cloak and it's just you can't find them.
It's just crap. It's just crap, man. It's crap.
If Paramount would approach it like that, I think it would be funny.
Yes.
Yeah. But they wouldn't. Paramount's the worst. Paramount is absolutely the worst. Can't stand it. Okay. So, yes, Mass Effect, worth playing, gentlemen. Really good video games. They're kind of like shooter RPGs, but yeah, I don't know. They're great. They're really good. You could get the special edition, I think, where it's all three of them, the remaster edition for like $20 now.
Nice.
They're worth
sometimes even cheaper. I mean, I feel like I've seen it go down to like $5.
Yeah, right.
It's insane how much content you get for small amount of money. Yeah. But totally worth it. Even if you skip number one, you can like read the
You
story.
could start with 2. Yeah, you could
start with 2.
Right?
They fixed a lot of the mechanics and stuff like that.
Yeah, they got rid of the Mako from the first one. They brought it back in the third one, right? No, not
No, they had a
Andromeda.
different like flying thing.
Yeah, they did.
Fire walker.
Speaking of like something you can get for relatively cheap on PSN yesterday.
Your mom.
She's dead.
You
Man,
can get her
real cheap.
Dirt cheap.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. On PSN yesterday, they had one of the free games was a Turtles, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like combination of games. Every one of their games, NES, Game Boy, arcade, In Time, everything in this one bundle, and I
that
just
is incredible.
Did you get it?
I did. When I was gone. Apparently, here we changed internet providers, so I had to start trying to update everything with the new password and all that stuff.
Oh, that sounds.
I'm logged in. I'm like, let me see what they got for the games this month, and I was like, okay, I'll get this game, and then I dived into it, and I'm like, holy crap!
Did you ever play the new Turtles game that came out on PS5 and Xbox?
Yep.
Oh,
I was just playing it 20 minutes ago with two.
Were you?
My sons,
kids.
Yeah.
That's a fun game.
It's super fun.
It reminds me of the old school Turtles in Time, and then what was the one right before that? I can't remember what that one was called.
It was just called arcade game.
Yeah, the arcade game.
The arcade, which I could never beat that game, but my friend had like a little emulator, and we had it infinite lives, and I finally got to see the end of that game. I loved it, man. So much fun.
I think the original NES game.
Does it have that original NES game?
It sure does.
That is the hardest game.
The swimming level with the bombs.
Yeah.
I could get through the swimming level. It was that next one with like a tiny little jump that childhood trauma that caused like actual like trauma.
I'm sure that game caused a lot of fights among me and my friends.
I could imagine saying to my son, like, I will buy you a brand new car if you can beat this game.
Oh, yeah.
and he'd be like so pumped about it. He'd be like, I can do it. But games today are so much easier than they used to be. And he would throw the controller after one level.
I'm sure that's the game that tested the durability of the NES controller.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
You found out that thing was built like a tank.
Bebop was one of the earliest guys you faced, and he was hard to beat too. But
not if you stood on top of like the boxes and you had Donatello.
Yeah.
I
remember that cheating method.
I remember that cheating method. But it was such an innovative game, like this idea that you can interchange between the 4 characters, and when one dies, you can switch to the next. Like, that was so cool that they did that.
But what person is making that game for kids based on a child's IP and making that game as impossibly hard as it was?
Well, we were better at video games when we were kids.
On this show, we hate kids, so like us,
right? But like games back then were all harder. We were used to them because I remember trying to go back and play the Mega Man game more recently, and I'm like, how did I ever beat these games? I beat all the Mega Mans, not a problem. And I go back today and I die on like the first level.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. Even playing Mario.
Yeah. Well, and the argument is like those games were initially designed to mimic the arcade experience. So when you had your 3 lives were up, you died. It would be like the equivalent of you needed to put in another coin to play again. But then they started to realize, wait, we're not an arcade now. You can get rid of that frustration. Why not just give them unlimited lives?
They need to bring that back. But make kids suffer.
I mean, games do that now. You have permadeath on certain games.
I don't play like that. I don't have time to play like that.
I don't either.
Honestly, most of my games I play on easy because I'm like, I don't have time to play this boss 25 times and try to memorize every pattern. I'm like,
yeah. I do normal and hard. Normal and hard, and if I go back to replay it, I'll put it on easy that time through because I'm like, now I just want to enjoy the ride. I just want to have a good time.
I buy a game that takes me 3 years to play it.
Yeah, that's true. It does.
How do you play a game 3 times through?
I don't sleep.
Where are you manufacturing this time?
I don't sleep, man. I don't sleep. I get like 4 hours of sleep a night. I don't.
That and his wife plays with him, so it's kind of cool.
Some games like Indiana Jones, she's obsessed with Indiana Jones
and Hogwarts.
Yep, and Hogwarts. She just
Hogwarts was great.
Yeah, she just 100%ed Indiana Jones, which there needed to be patches before she could do it because it was a Bethesda game. So yeah, she's pretty proud of that one.
She outpaced the patches.
Yeah, she did. She did.
She outpaced the dev.
Yeah, she did. But did you hear? Gosh, a big video game conversation we're having now. But did you hear that they're not remastered, but they redid Metal Gear Solid, and that's releasing in a couple months?
No,
like
I did not.
The original, yeah.
The original, like the original PlayStation or the original NES?
It might be the original PlayStation.
I would imagine it's the PlayStation.
I would think it's the PlayStation.
Yeah,
the NES, like little top down.
Oh, heck yeah!
Those are good games, but I don't see anybody putting in any sort of funding to remaster those games.
If I knew how, I would.
All right, I'm kind of wrong. It's Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. That's the one they're.
That's still good.
Yeah, they announced that at the PlayStation State of Play or whatever.
Yeah. So that's the one they're releasing. I've never played a single one of them, so what do I know?
That's
because I like good video games.
Oh, you're such a whore.
What can I say? I like good video games.
Then you don't because you're not playing Metal Gear. Brody, have you played Metal Gear?
Which one?
Any.
At some point, yeah. I haven't played through like every single one. I remember playing the NES one a long time ago. But I haven't played any of the modern ones.
Are you one of those Xbox people?
No, I'm a PlayStation.
Okay, good. There's
nothing wrong with Xboxes, though they've clearly lost the war. But
I don't know. That Games Pass.
It's a good thing, yeah.
My buddy has the Games Pass, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I downloaded Indiana Jones on day one, and it was free."
Yeah,
and I'm like, "Oh, I have PlayStation Plus. Maybe something will show up someday."
Right. Or like Avowed just came out. That was a game by not Obsidian. No, Obsidian. That just came out day one, and I've been playing the heck out of that. That's been a good game. So, yeah, Game Pass is a good thing, but the problem is Xbox is going to the point where they don't want. Xbox is no longer the system; it's the ecosystem. So now you can play Xbox on your phone. You can do it, and now they're starting to translate all their games to PS5. So I think they're gonna basically go the way of Sega at some point in time, which is not good. We need We can't just have Nintendo and Sony. We need at least 3 video game systems to keep them being innovative.
Dreamcast,
there's PC, Steam is the third one.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. Yeah, PC when in doubt. But the problem with PCs now is like just to play a game, you need an $800 video card.
It's true.
Video cards have gotten out of control. They used to be like $200-300 for a decent video card. Now it's like, yeah, if you don't have at least $1,000, you're not getting a good graphics on your games. Bull crap. So there's a real problem with that.
One thing we should do, actually, since Brody's here, we should have Brody introduce himself.
Oh my God!
Hi, I'm Brody.
Brody introduce himself.
You guys talk about me all the time. I feel like everybody already knows who I am. But I'm Brody. I'm from Talk Punch. We have a similar but different podcast over on YouTube and stuff like that. So Cardassians, we talk about you guys all the time. You guys are good friends. It's our what is the term? What is
our 2-show network?
Kindred spirits.
Yeah, our 2-show network.
Kindred spirits or sister cities. What do they call that when the cities on the other side of the country or world?
Tunnel sisters?
No, not that. Not that. But yeah, something like that.
But so we at Talk Punch love Cardassians, and I love you guys' show. I'm always in the comments, my comments and my timestamps.
Yeah.
I've been getting up. I do some stuff early in the morning on Saturdays, and so I keep texting Rob saying, "Are you guys recording?" So that I could just crash the podcast and just call.
Right. That would be totally fine too if you call the podcast. We'd put you on.
Well, and I tried yesterday, but you guys weren't doing it. So.
Yeah, Joe.
We're recording tomorrow. I'll send you a link and you can just jump on. I was like, okay.
Yeah. Joe is dying, so we couldn't record in person today.
This is my last show. We're transitioning out of me. I'll be dead. This new vessel that I call a body is gone.
Joe's in hospice care right now.
Yeah.
Hailing from the Oval Office, apparently.
I know. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Is that just your house?
Yeah, this is my room. This is my bedroom.
He's got
call
one
it
of
the
greatest
presidential
Republican
suite.
president, greatest Republican
Lincoln
president, and greatest Democrat.
And
I don't see
Kennedy.
Reagan on there.
That's Lincoln
Kidding.
and Kennedy.
Lincoln, and he's over there. JFK.
My gosh. Good, you did it. I'm proud of you. You were pointing the wrong way.
I know. I thought that was over there. It's not.
Yeah.
How you feeling, Joe?
I'm good. I have COVID. I got COVID the second to last day of the cruise. I got it Friday night is when I first started feeling the ick.
Mm-hmm.
And then Saturday I had full-blown cruise AIDS.
Yeah,
and
rough.
I've had it ever since. I'm still testing positive. But it's the first time I've ever had COVID.
Oh,
Kids,
first time?
Yeah, first
Out
time.
of 10, what do you rate it?
Out of 10, with 10 being, what is 10 the worst, and
Yeah.
and 1 is like it's no big deal.
Yeah.
I would give it a 7.5.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
It's one of the
you were
it's one of the
pretty
worst
bad
times I've
on-
ever been sick.
Yeah, you were fighting through it on Saturday.
Yeah.
But like you're up and you're dressed and you're sitting up though. I mean,
yeah, I'm on the tail end of it.
You're on day 8, right? No, 9.
No,
it started
9.
on
It's
Friday.
day 9.
I think the thing that hit me hardest with COVID was I was just always exhausted and I wanted to sleep.
Yes.
That was the biggest thing.
I've been exhausted. Friday was when I started feeling vaguely human.
Yeah.
And now I feel okay, but come 7, 8 o'clock, if I'm up and just doing random things around that, I'm exhausted. I'm done.
Yeah. Kids, let this be a lesson to wear protection.
Yes.
Right? That's what caused it.
I don't know. I mean, I only saw maybe a handful of people with masks on the cruise, maybe a dozen.
Oh, masks. Yes, masks.
Yeah.
Different kind of protection, Nick.
That's what I was talking about.
Facial protection.
Yeah, exactly.
Wrap it up.
You can't, when you're on a big ship like that, there's 2,500 people there that are from all different parts of the world. It's going to happen. There's no getting away from it.
close quarters.
Yeah. And luckily now we have the vaccine, right, which limits the efficacy of the virus. Wow, that's a big word for Nick today.
Let's say congratulations on that.
Thank you, and I pronounced it correctly too. I did a good job. But yeah, so we were on that cruise. So should we talk about that and we'll talk about the cruise with Brody and tell him how awesome it was, or what should we talk about?
I'll just start by saying, hey, if the listeners are not Patreon subscribers, that they really should be, because you guys were posting some great videos on Patreon. And I'm not going to talk about them because I want people to go sign up for the Patreon. There's some great Nick videos in there.
Yeah, karaoke. Yeah.
There's some pictures where Rob actually smiles for a picture, which he was drinking at that point.
Yeah, he was drunk.
No.
Fact check. That doesn't happen.
Yeah, I know, right? He doesn't smile for pictures. It's crazy.
I've seen pictures of Rob with his family and he's just straight faced, but on that cruise,
that makes
he's posing with somebody.
I was smiling. I was 100% smiling in every picture I'm in.
The only time I've ever seen him smile in a picture is when he's in a picture with his sister-in-law.
Both.
And then there's a great swimsuit picture of Joe, which must have happened before he was taken down by the Rona.
Did you?
Oh yes. Did you post me in a crop top? Is that what you're talking about?
It may have happened.
Yeah. Did you post the one of him underneath the one boat with the words and him laying suggestively?
I may have.
Okay, good. That was my favorite one.
It's him on a pool chair, and you guys have the Cardassians towel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's also some stinging. It's a treasure trove of content in that Patreon.
And we got some new ideas. We got some new ideas for future content while we were on the cruise, if I recall. I don't know. I might have been having a little bit of alcohol, but I thought at one point someone's like, "This would be a great thing to do."
We always have those. We have a list of them.
Yeah. Nick blacked out and rewrote the podcast.
It's true. It's all rewritten from the ground up.
Well, thank you for that, Brody. Jeez, Brody.
Brody.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you for. Apparently, I'm still drunk.
Yeah.
But thank you for those kind words. We
Yeah.
were hoping to put some good stuff out there for the Patreons.
Yeah.
Good
And
stuff.
that's all cruise stuff. There's
Yeah.
still a ton
Getting
of
a
stuff
signal.
pre-cruise.
Yeah, getting the signal out there was the worst. So it's kind of, even if you bought the internet package, nothing would load to Patreon with any kind of efficiency.
Well, and apparently now Royal Caribbean has switched to using Starlink, and it's still not great. So I don't know.
Yeah, there was some stuff I would get a notification something was posted, and it's like, the video didn't work, and so then you had to like re-upload and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Stuff got out there, but it looked like it took you a couple tries to actually.
Yeah.
It sure did.
So,
and that's just what made it through into the notifications. So
yeah, exactly. So let's start. Let's. I mean, I'm sure we might have first-time listeners today, especially from after the cruise. So let's start with.
If so, welcome.
I shouldn't say let's start, but I feel like we should talk about the cruise here, so they can kind of get a feel for what we went through and everything, and then we can move on to some of the other subjects we had. But I say we talk about the Star Trek cruise.
Let's do it.
It stinks.
Let's start with this. Let me ask you, gentlemen, a question. Rob and Joe, if you and Brody, you can just give me a hypothetical answer if you want. Did you find that this cruise was worth the amount you paid?
I have no problem with the amount I paid. I knew what I was getting. I know what I was doing, and I have no problem with the amount I paid. There were some things you'd like more, and we'll probably get into that as we go along. But I have no problem. Once I spend the money, I have no problem spending the money. Once it's gone, looking back, it's gone. I paid for it. It's kind of what you make of it too, in the long run.
Yeah,
you'd be disappointed by things if you want to be, but I'd rather focus on. I had a good time, and I'd do it again. Not next year. Not next year.
Okay.
But in 2 or 3 years.
Is it a yearly thing?
It's a year, every year.
Yeah. And maybe, Rob, that's a better way of putting it. Do you feel like it was worth the money, and would you go back?
I go back, especially depending on the guest.
Because you can, to me, I'm kind of like, it was a little pricey, but I would still go back in the future. Not next year, again, but I would go back. What about you, Joe?
I had no issue with what we paid for it. I just feel like I didn't, as the cruise goer, I didn't extract all of the fun that could have been had. Like, I didn't have any costumes on. I didn't do any of the excursions. I didn't do any of the makeup. So there are things to be, and the makeup was an extra. It was an extra fee, so it wasn't free. But like bringing your own costumes and everything for these, every night was a theme night. Yeah, and there were a lot of people that were in full costume, and full cosplay
every day,
every single day, and some people had like multiple. Like for the day they had one, and for the night, for the theme night they had another. And my hat's off to them. Kudos.
Yeah,
but
like the friends we made.
I feel like I could have had a more enriching experience if I had maybe understood the assignment a little better, or if this wasn't my first cruise, or I had a better idea of what each night was going to be like, I may have tried to plan something.
Yeah.
But I feel like it was worth what we paid for it.
Yeah.
And you could definitely get your money's worth out of it.
I think you brought up a great point, Joe. It's like, and Rob, you said it too. Like, if you go into it, like you're only going to get what you put into it. Like, if you go in being like, oh, this is expensive and whatever, yeah, it's going to be expensive. But if you go into it looking to have the most fun, and one of the ways we could have had the most fun too is by costumes. Like, I'm not a huge costume guy, but that would have been fun to be a part of. Some of those costumes are incredible. Next year, I'm going to go as an Orion slave boy, and it's going to be amazing.
I like it.
Are you going next year?
No.
Oh, okay.
But
I think as a show, we're talking about the 2 years from now.
Yeah, I think so. In 2 years.
I think we're the 10th one.
Yeah, it's it is a lot of money to pay, but again, they have payment plans. You can pay it over the course of a year. That's what we did this last year, and it made it pretty painless. But I think it was a blast, and just the culture of the people on the cruise ship, Brody. Like, you have no idea. Like, this was a space where you truly felt like you could just be yourself. You didn't have to hide anything. People weren't jerks. There was only like one or two times.
And we will highlight them.
Yeah, I did run into some people in a hot tub. That was not great. But overall, like, I've never been to a place like that where I'm like, I can just be whoever I want to be here. I don't have to pretend. I don't have to, I don't have to fight for an elevator. I don't have to get annoyed with someone walking, like all these things. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, normally on a cruise ship, there's some, I'm going to use the word aggression. I don't necessarily mean it that way, but throwing elbows to get to an elevator, or there's a certain amount of rudeness and lack of professionalism on a lot of boats. And no matter which one you've been to, because we've been on Carnival and Royal Caribbean. And this one is very professional. Like, if you were there for the elevator first, they're waiting for you to get on the elevator. And usually on disembarkment, especially trying to get off the boat, it's a bloodbath. And this was smooth.
It is a bloodbath. It's like everyone for themselves. It's like the apocalypse is happening, and people are fighting to get the final food, like getting off.
It's Mad Max, totally.
But this one, it was like no big deal. We just got on the elevator and left. It was kind of a bummer. I was expecting to draw blood.
I was ready to fight.
I was ready. We just standing in the elevator like this, ready to go. The whole time.
I was like, Joe, give him COVID. Attack.
Cough on him.
Start
Joe.
coughing.
Cough on him.
We'll get you in 5 to 7 days.
Yeah.
My curiosity is, how was the Star Trek theme like implemented? Was it well? Was it just kind of like there's some special guests here, or was it really implemented into the entire cruise?
It was over. Go ahead, Nick.
I was going to say, all the entertainment, all the shows, everything was Star Trek. There was no, like, if you just got sucked on that cruise and you didn't know it was a Star Trek cruise, you'd be in for a world of hurt, because there's nothing you could go to escape it. They had signs up like over like the bars that, like, one was named Gowron's, right? Or Blood and Ale. Blood and Ale was the name of one of them. They had
Batleth and Bloodwine.
Oh, that's what it was. Batleth and Bloodwine. I like mine better.
And there was an EMH bar where Robert Picardo was hanging out, because he played that character.
So, from talking to people from other cruises, it wasn't as well themed as previous years. But for us as first timers, I was really impressed. Like, when I got on the ship, I'm like, I didn't expect to see all the signs be transferred over. Like, the casino was Quarks. Like, it was awesome. I thought it was.
I agree.
Even to the detail of like Nick mentioned, the Quarks being the casino. Like, even the felt for like the craps table and the blackjack and the poker table, it was all like Star Trek themed and Quark themed, and like the graphics it was pretty detailed in some aspects, and then in other aspects it did seem like it was kind of haphazardly put together.
Yeah.
But overall I was pretty impressed with how thoroughly they engulfed you in the Star Trek. Now, there were a couple things where I thought they could have done better. There was, on the pool deck, there was a big, like, outdoor screen where they would occasionally show Star Trek movies. But generally it was, I think I only saw 3 different films. It was Star Trek 2, Star Trek 3, and Undiscovered Country were the only 3 that I saw being played out there.
Yeah.
But it was, at least they're playing good ones.
It's true.
Yeah, but I would say, and I spent a lot of time on the pool deck, I would say probably 5%, 10% of the time I was out on the pool deck, they were playing anything on the screen.
A lot of times it was just that Star Trek cruise logo on the screen.
Right. I thought they at least could, and a couple times they had the movie audio pumping through the pool deck area, and sometimes they would have like the movie playing with music.
Yeah.
And either one of those options was fine with me. I thought it was a little boring that for the vast majority of the time they just had that Star Trek Cruise logo on the video board.
Well, that was very surprising.
And the capability was there because in the rooms, Brody, all the channels had Star Trek on 24/7. So like you would go to one channel and it was Lower Decks, another channel was Strange New Worlds, another one was the only one they didn't have was Next Generation, which was weird in hindsight now that I think back to it.
Because it stinks.
But everything else was playing. I mean, there was an original series channel, so
Yeah.
they had.
Did they have Section
capability.
39 on loop on a channel?
No,
They had a whole viewing night though for Section.
they did have a viewing night.
Did they really?
All 5 of people were happy to go watch it. Probably, I don't know. We didn't go.
Yeah, we did not attend that. We saw that and said no.
Yeah. I'm not one of those people who's a purist and who's like a fan who's like, you can't do this. But that's a movie where I just feel like it fits in the idea of what Star Trek is, so I just have no interest in watching
good storytelling. And to me, it wasn't good storytelling.
Yeah, I hear you.
Was the food and drinks themed as well?
Drinks were themed, but the food was not. So
yeah, I don't want to eat goss. I'm okay with that.
But yeah, all the
come
drinks.
on, you got to get into the theme.
Yeah, all the drinks had special names, but the bartenders never knew what the drink name was. So they'd have like the special theme drink name, and then underneath they would have like the actual name. So you would say the theme name, and they'd be like, "What?" You'd be like, "No, I want a whiskey and Coke." You know,
I thought that was.
Yeah,
so that's part of the appeal. Hey, can I get this blood wine? They're like, I'm just like, sorry, dude, whatever this is.
And to be fair, maybe by the end of the week they had it because that was the first night where I was trying to order the specialized drinks, and they don't have a lot of turnaround, so they're just doing the best they can. Service is amazing too. Royal Caribbean always nails it. Like the staff is incredible, and like there's no problems there. They always cleaned our room, which you got to worry about 3 men in a room, but they did a good job taking care of it.
And one of them with COVID.
Yeah, food was
I only
solid.
had COVID for a day and a half.
Yeah, but it was a long day and a half, was it not?
It felt like I had COVID the whole cruise. Looking back on it,
yeah.
Oh, that's
I was like, it was really only the last full day.
Isn't it funny how that can ruin it? Like that was my experience a couple years ago when I went to Alaska, and it was a 7-day trip, and I got it on day 3. And now I'm like, I don't even remember the days before. I just remember being miserable for 4 days isolated.
That's over half your trip.
I know, but it just
I had it for like literally like a day and a half total.
Yeah.
Of our 7 days.
Yeah.
But it sucked because the last day, Saturday, was my worst day. Like, and we ended up in the karaoke bar, which was one of the things I was looking forward to, but I just felt like hot garbage. And I actually ended up leaving because we were just too close. We had met some friends that we had met on the cruise, and we were all kind of sitting together, and I was starting to get worse and worse. And I was like, I'm not going to be around you guys anymore. Yeah. I'm good.
Yeah.
What was it? Nick's singing that made you sick?
No, Nick's singing actually inspired me.
I saw the video. You had the whole crowd in your hand, man.
Oh my God!
Like everybody was singing with you.
I would say Nick was top five of the night. I would say.
Oh, thank you. Well, that one guy was clearly number one.
There was a guy that sang.
There's always one that is a professional karaoke person. There's always
someone you used to love or something by Louis Capaldi.
Oh, that's right. That's what it was. Yeah.
I think that's the title, and I'm not exaggerating. I think he sings it better than Louis Capaldi.
Wow.
That guy was very good, but he was
good.
He clearly had gone through some shit, and that song was a very cathartic. Like he almost like collapsed emotionally at the end of his performance.
Yeah.
And like everybody was clapping and everybody was like giving him hugs and just he was crying at the end of it.
Yeah.
I was like, I thought this was karaoke. This is insane.
Well, and that's what I was going to add, Joe, that to me, like there were so many good nights. The Bad Bitch Birthday Bash was fun. The next night there was the band, what were they called? Band 47?
Band 47.
Yes.
Band 47 were incredible. Tim Russ's band was really good. But like, the karaoke was probably my favorite just to see how all of the people interacted and lifted each other up. And even the people who got up there who just did not have any pitch at all, people were clapping and cheering for them. Like it was the most yeah, it was truly the most supportive place I've ever been in. Like, um, and it really reminded me of like how Star Trek is for everyone, right? It's designed for the person who feels like they're the outcast, the pushed out, who feels like no one understands them. But in the Star Trek universe, they know they're loved. And I just thought, to me, like, I'm like, this is what the freaking church should be. Like, this is amazing what's happening here. But it was a beautiful thing,
I'm
especially
glad because
karaoke.
originally we weren't going to go to the karaoke, but right after it was Tim Russ's band, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
We're like, well, let's just stop in. Let's just stop in and see what it is. And we found a nice little seat, and we're like, all right, this is pretty dope. And then there was three or four of the actors there. Connor
Yeah.
Chenier from Enterprise was kind of facilitating it, and he was great. He was
He was
singing
the
with
host, wasn't he?
people.
He was the host, and he would start singing along. He'd get up there and sing with people, do duets with them. It was pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah, and the non-visitor was there, Nikki DeBoer,
Denise
and then
Crosby.
Denise Crosby. Yeah, so they all came for a little bit.
I think the
but it
first
was
person we saw when we got there, like the first real performance, was a girl did "Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting" by
and she
Elton
was
John.
amazing.
She kicked so much ass.
She did.
She was so good, and like Nicole DeBoer and Denise Crosby and the non-visitor, like Nikki DeBoer was already on stage, like backstage, and Denise and Nana had like found their seats and sat down. And as soon as this girl started, they got up, they went like I think Denise was like on stage singing with her, Nana was dancing, and it was a party. I mean, that song's like what, like 6 or 7 minutes long.
It's such a long song. I didn't realize how long it was until then.
Yeah,
it was worth it.
Like 30% of that song is just the end of it, where it's just repeating like Saturday, like
Saturday.
But I mean,
it made me want to karaoke that song. But you got to nail that song to karaoke it. You can't mail that song in. You got to go hard.
No.
And she did.
She did. She was awesome.
Yeah. But it's so funny because like those are the things to me that were the highlights more so than the panel. The panels and all that were really cool, Brody. All those things were a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. Like they were wonderful to watch, but it was those experiences where you felt like you were interacting with the cast members, the crew members, with the talent, that it really kind of hit home. Like this is a good thing. Yeah. And apparently they do less of them now than they used to. Apparently it used to be where the talent was out all the time. And it's kind of shifted gears a little bit where they've gone more to panels and all that. I hope in the future cruises they kind of try to find a compromise in between the two.
Who was your favorite person to see?
I mean, I got a soft spot for Nana. I'm not going to lie to you, just because she's been so good to us. And she's a great person on top of everything else. And she did a whole TED Talk, for lack of a better word, where she did her Mama Nana.
Ask Mama Nana. Yeah.
Yeah. And it seems like she does actually care about in general. So I have a big soft spot for her and what she does. So it was nice to see her. It was nice to talk to her. It was nice to be recognized by her right after Nick and I were doing a tequila tasting that she was hosting, and she saw me.
Videos of that.
Yeah, she saw me, and she was like, and she went right for a hug. And that's pretty
awesome.
cool.
Yeah, she's wonderful. For me, goodness, I didn't really have the chance to interact with them, but I grew up on Voyager, so just seeing the whole cast together and like their panels were great. I got to play Family Feud with them. That was a blast. I had a good time with that. I got to touch Jerry Ryan's hand. I was in tears. But honestly, I think it would probably be Nikki DeBoer. I talked with Nicole DeBoer for a while there, probably like 25 minutes at the end of the tequila tasting. And they actually had to kick us out. They're like, sorry, we're closing. You guys got to leave. And we just kept talking. That was probably my favorite.
I would probably say Garrett Wang.
Garrett Wang was my other.
Just because of how, I mean, he played the celebrity role very well. Like he did panels, he did games, he did all the things that you would go see him in. But he was also very down to earth and engaging. Like he was very engaging. We saw him on the way out to, I think
Cozumel.
it was Cozumel. Was it Cozumel?
Yeah.
We talked Lions football with him. He was out on the casino floor. I mean, he had the craps table like just jammed up.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was out. He was always out doing stuff and
Mhm.
interacting with people. He was out at the bars. Tim Russ was out at the bars.
And they were just out that you could just like talk with them. It wasn't like
Yeah, pretty much.
you got to
Yeah.
wait in line or anything like that.
No,
Like
More
they're just
so-
hanging out.
Yeah, more
There
so with the older cast members. The younger ones kind of, I think, were more isolated. Like if you're talking about Tawny Newsome or Cecilia Rose Gooding and
Listen.
like, Melissa Nevaeh.
Melissa Nevaeh.
Yeah, Nevaeh. I never really saw her. So, but yeah, they were just out and about, and you could talk to them, and you just had to go up and talk. And sometimes that was the part where you're like, I don't want to do that because they're getting bugged a lot. But then you have to realize that's why you're on the cruise in the first place. You paid a lot of money to be there. Exactly.
The way I looked at it too, I mean, like they kind of got to know what's to expect with that. So once I accepted that in my own head, I'm like, all right, Eugene Cordero, let's have a drink, type of thing.
Yep. You had a
Chase
drink.
Masterson was out and about a lot.
She was out about a lot. Which
She
Brody, I don't know if you watched
hosted some
DS9.
things she hosted some things that were like on the program, but then she also kind of did some things where like, because she was there was a Facebook group, and it was just for the cruise. It was like a cruise Facebook group, and she was in the cruise Facebook group, and she would post it. She posted a couple times that she was doing. I went to something outside of the Batleth and Blood Wine bar one afternoon where she was doing something for her charity, and then I think Rob went to her birthday. She did like a sunset birthday thing on the top of the cruise one night. And these weren't like in your daily flyers. These were events where you catch it on Facebook or something, or you hear that she announced that she's doing it. So I thought she seemed like she was really enjoying the cruise.
Yeah, I think so.
Did it seem like there was a focus on one particular series over the others?
This one it definitely
was.
both
both for guests and for like attendees.
Yeah, this one for sure. It's the 30-year anniversary of Voyager, so they had the whole Voyager cast there, minus Robert Beltran was the only one not there. So yeah, that was the whole point. But I think next year it's a broader cast and crew for sure,
because they're celebrating the 60th anniversary of
Star
Trek in general.
So I think you'll see a lot of them from all the different series.
Shatman.
And how about for somebody that is not familiar with Star Trek? Is there any appeal?
Go to a different cruise.
I mean,
yes,
I think there is.
I would argue there is. Like I told you, people are kinder, people are more accepting, people are gentler. But on top of that, since it's a charter cruise, it wasn't completely full. The ship wasn't full. They limit the amount of spaces. So you're never fighting for a spot at the pool deck. You're never fighting for a spot in the hot tub. You're never fighting for drinks. Like, to me, it's a good cruise. Now, if you're a first-time cruiser, is the premium worth it? I don't think it would be worth it.
Agreed.
But I think you could find a lot of joy being there.
It didn't have a lot of like when you go on a boat, a lot of the grandeur events like the stand-up comedians or the ice shows or the acrobatic shows. So it missed a lot of that. But I mean, if you could go to Tawny and Eugene Cordero's improv, it's not Star Trek related, so you can have a little bit of fun with that stuff. Like that.
Yeah.
They couldn't get a Star Trek focused comedian? Come on, that would be great.
I think they want to focus on the actors.
Actually, they had Joe on the cruise already.
I felt sick and I had to back out of my duties.
Garrett did stand up one night, who plays Ensign Kim on Voyager. But he's not really a stand up guy. It was more kind of stories that made people laugh, which is just fine. And then like Rob said, Tawny and Eugene did a night of improv as well. And then there was some other comedy things that they tried as well. So There was a comedy thing almost every single night.
Yeah, it's me.
But,
I was cracking jokes 7 days in a row. I had to.
I'm not surprised.
I was
We
splitting
were-
sides.
We didn't end up hating each other either, Brody, by the end of the cruise.
Hey, that's a plus.
We were jammed in a tiny room. I think the biggest fight that could have been is the rule of no number twoing in our room, and I fought that rule hard. I didn't like that rule.
Yeah, he did. He dropped the bomb.
Yeah. I didn't like that rule. I paid a lot of money to be there. If I'm going to number two, I'm going to number two where I want a number two.
I paid a lot of money.
Joe's bed, Rob's bed, doesn't matter. I'm going to do it anyway.
I paid a lot of money to be there, so I used every bathroom on that boat.
Yeah, but I only used it the one time because I had to. I think Joe maybe used it once like that, and you did too. So we all used it once.
Was it just tiny? Like the bathroom was just tiny?
Well, it's just like, and then the smell just comes. It seeps out of there right away, so you know when someone's used the bathroom.
Yeah,
and we have an interior room. There's no window to
air that bad boy
open up and air anything out.
Yeah, we got the full tour on the Patreon.
I know
which pretty much involved just you guys walking in and saying, "There's the room."
Yeah.
It was much better.
That's all there was to tour.
Yeah.
And truthfully, we didn't spend a lot of time in there. Like, I know, Rob, you took a nap. Joe, when you started not feeling well, you were in there a little bit more. But for the most part, we were just in there for bedtime. That was it.
I slept on a changing table right above Nick.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. You did.
It's all the
was
dirty
amazing.
diapers.
Yeah, which fit with my number twoing wherever I wanted to. So this was already a changing table. So, but I would give it a pretty high rate. I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10 in terms of like experience overall. I think the thing that holds it back from being a 10 is I just wish there was a little more interaction with the talent.
Yeah, and I think we learned some lessons on it too as a podcast, even as well, to try to take advantage of it a little bit better next time. So we learned a little bit too in the long run, which some things you kind of go, all right, we could have advertised better, but the towels that Nick made worked beautifully on, especially on the deck.
Oh my God! Yeah, those were awesome.
Do you guys have a lot of people coming up and talking to you about it?
Actually, yes.
Yeah, we did.
Towels were very good for Brandon.
But it was funny, like, because a lot of the lessons we learned, Brody, like one of we were sitting there for breakfast on our final day, and I'm like, wait, when we're down here at the buffet, why aren't we just having stickers and passing them out at tables? And we're all like, oh yeah, like the final day.
We're idiots.
Realize that, yeah. But what can you do? But you also don't want to be overbearing at the same time, right? Sure. Like, you want to get your name out, but you don't want to be that obnoxious podcast.
The next to last day, you're be obnoxious. Just have fun with it. Say, hey.
Yeah. Well, and we got our word out. We passed some magnets out. Someone at one point stole our door sign, so we had to post on that in our site, but they returned it, luckily. It was nice. Yeah, there was a theft problem on that ship, apparently. People were stealing stuff off doors.
Why are you looking at me, Nick?
Look, I know you have some hands that like to get a little grabby.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Hey, and from that cruise, actually, I can say that we are going to have Garrett Wong on the show at some point. He said he'll come on.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so we'll set that up. We got to figure out our schedule before we dive into him because he's on that West Coast time. So he'll be on the show. So we at least got one interview, and maybe Larry Nemecek too, which is a behind the scenes guy.
And I'm sure we'll get much more, especially now that we've introduced ourselves. So I was going to reach out to Nikki myself and see if she would want to come on for an interview.
Very cool.
Yeah, we'll get some people. Yeah, but it was good.
I'm glad you're on that first name that really like good first name basis, Nikki.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Nikki and I bonded over kids, so
yeah,
we're friends.
Yeah,
I bonded with other people over the hatred of kids.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's the Brody. There was no kids on the cruise.
None.
Yes. No kids?
Awesome.
No kids. Was that a rule? Was that there was no kids, or just nobody brought their kids?
14 and up was the rule.
Okay.
I think it was 14 and up.
But I think we saw.
Was that really a thing? 14 and up.
I think so.
I was gonna say because it looked like I think we saw three youths. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the youngest one looked to be in the 14, 15-year-old range.
Yeah.
But it was awesome not having any kids.
I mean, we acted like children.
Kids.
Yeah, so like it was fair game for the water slides. There was no one on the water slide. There was no one
Oh
on the
man,
there was no one on the surf machine.
There's
Like,
no one
you
playing basketball.
No one playing
For
basketball.
us.
Like the
The
whole
arcade
back
was
of the
a
ship
ghost
was,
town.
yeah, it was,
it was an arcade.
yeah,
Yeah.
Man,
it was pretty cool. Pretty cool.
All
So,
those boats have some kind of arcade, whether how big it
I'm
is.
going to
depends
raise
on
my
the boat.
rating to 9 out of 10 because there were no kids.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm gonna raise it up a point for that.
that'll do it.
Yeah,
That can make a difference.
and I like kids. Don't get me. I don't want to beat up kids as much as Joe and Rob do. I like kids. I just like know it. Like the difference between a cruise with kids and without one was so substantial.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. I never like, and I remember like it was like the second day where we realized there were no kids, right? Where I'm like, guys, there's
We're in
no
the
children.
Windjammer.
There's no children here. And we're like, oh yeah.
I knew there was a sense of happiness all throughout the cruise. I was
Yep.
wondering what that was.
Right.
They're still teenagers.
There's three.
Three
all you saw.
teenagers.
That's
That
all
was
we
it.
saw.
That was it. Yeah. That was
And
it.
we weren't even the oldest people on the cruise. That was great too.
Yeah, we were. Well, yeah, we were probably in the lower tier for
Yeah.
ages, but we weren't.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And there was a lot of people around our age in their late 30s, early 40s, for sure. There was a large contingent of those, and then there was a lot older crowd, and then not much in between.
I appreciate you lumping in late 30s with us.
I know that's very kind of you.
It's very kind of you.
It's
That's
true, man.
That's
When you're
that's the pastor in you.
yeah,
More
there's,
like early 40s to mid 40s.
that's like
We're staying 30s, Brody. Thank you.
what is that? When you fill out those age demographics, isn't it 35 to 44? Isn't that one of the demographics? So there you go.
Not me.
Yeah, that's true. You're 56. So.
Shut up.
Anything else about the cruise, gentlemen?
We had something else, didn't we?
Oh yeah.
What was the best thing you ate?
I had a hot dog every day. It was fantastic.
Oh yeah.
What's the best thing that you ate?
Hey man, simple things. I had a goal. It was eat a lot, and
Those
I gained
potato
14 pounds on the
pancakes.
cruise.
Yeah,
Those
the potato
potato
trapezoids were awesome.
Yeah.
The potato, yeah. The
Once
little,
I found the
hash
French
brown
toast.
potatoes,
Oh,
French toast. Yeah.
and then what was the best drink you had?
Ooh.
I mean, I know Nick was enjoying the whiskey because there's
Yeah.
video of that.
I was enjoying the whiskey. No, but I did have quite a few of the mixed drinks that were like their theme drinks that were really good. I just can't remember what was in them now.
Yeah, I have no idea. That's a week ago.
I like they made a really good strawberry margarita
Oh, they did.
Yeah, they did.
This is true.
on the poolside. A blend like a frozen strawberry margarita just hits home.
Yeah,
And then I had mostly like old fashions,
you
which
did.
which were really good. They were really
What
good.
was the special name for an old fashioned? Or was it just called an old fashioned?
It had a name. I don't
Yeah, I
remember
know.
what it was.
Some
I
of
may
them-
or may
some of
not
them
have
just
stole the
said-
menus.
Oh, those were complimentary, by the way.
Oh, those. Yeah, they are.
Yeah, now they were. But yeah, drinks were good. Food was good. I mean, the weather
Sounds
was
like
great
fun.
the whole time. Yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time. I recommend Star Trek fans go on it at least once in their life. It's worth the experience.
Do we want
But-
to talk about the one excursion or anything like that? No.
No,
We made some
we're
friends
here
on the
for.
excursion. I'll
We
give them a shout
did.
out.
We did.
Rachel and Patrick.
That's right.
Rachel, Patrick. We made some other good friends, and Brooke and Derek and Cassie.
And Barb.
And Barb.
Oh,
Were they
Barb.
fans of the podcast already? Or they were
No.
just,
We're gonna say yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yes,
they
they were.
hunted us down.
Absolutely.
well, they're
Loyal
fans
listeners.
now, obviously.
Loyal listeners. Loyal.
Well, we
listeners.
did meet, and I have them. I wrote down some of the people that we met, and those are on my list. But we did meet. And I'm going to put in air quotes. Super fan Jeff.
Oh yeah.
So
Jeff
we met Jeff in line for
It was
the
very
first Voyager
show.
panel, I believe it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, 'cause that's
And
where he had his
he just happened to
controversial
be
hot
in
take.
front of us in the casino in line, and overheard us talking, and then we just started talking, and I think we mentioned our podcast, and he said, "Oh, I just heard of you. I just started listening like right before the cruise. I think I've listened to a few episodes," which is I think he was being very generous and nice.
Yeah,
but we'll take
I think
it.
so too.
He was a super fan, Jeff.
That's
he was
awesome.
wonderful. Yeah, he was
What's
wonderful.
up, Jeff?
I know. He
Yeah.
went out of his way to introduce us to people, like to be like, "Hey, these are the guys from Keeping Up with the Kardashians. You should talk to
Yep.
them about being on the cruise next year." To like people
He
who are
introduced
part
us
of the
to Rebecca from the video game
Starfleet
the video game
Command.
Starfleet Command.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, he was so nice. Like, and
and
that
we
was
just
part of
kept
the-
seeing him everywhere, and he was just
Yeah,
he was very nice.
That's one of
He
the
was
nice
part
things
of
about
that.
being on a smaller boat is easier to see people, because when you're on one of those like the Odyssey of the Seas or whatever it was, the Lido deck is what they call it in Carnival, but whatever, the promenade, it's so spread out and there's things everywhere.
right.
And so like in this ship, it was very more contained, so it was a lot easier to see the
I
people
really
that you've
enjoyed
seen before in the past, as well as the talent, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it was a smaller ship, but I think it makes sense for a cruise like this to have the smaller ship. I think it would hurt it with a bigger ship. Who are our friends, Joe, that we made that were from Cyprus?
That would. Oh, did I write them
Who
down?
was that? They were wonderful people. They thought Joe and I were a couple.
Oh, that's right.
Because Joe and I were sitting in the hot tub, and they sit in the hot tub with us, and we're all talking. We're having a good time. And she's like, "So how long have you two been together?" And I'm like, "Oh no, I'm married to someone else." And Joe's like, "Shoot, man, you should have played along." But the funny thing is, then
I actually did play along. I put my arm
at
around
first, yeah. But every time we saw them out and about, it was just Joe and me together. And I'm like, man, we should just start holding hands every time they see us. So they're like, "You guys aren't a couple?" No, we're just good friends.
I have the name.
I'm gonna say like, oh yeah, we're in room 201 together.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
We're in the smallest room you can have, and there's not a third bed. So
well, and the thing is, like about the cruise, like there's no reason to not start to think that, because I didn't realize how popular Star Trek was with the LGBTQ crowd.
It is a gay cruise.
Specifically the G part, yeah. Like there was a large gay contingent on there, which is totally fine with me. I loved it. I had a blast, but it's like I didn't realize how much of an impact it had within that community. And it was kind of cool to see that, honestly.
Nick, it had an impact on me within the time that we were on the cruise. By the end of the cruise, I'm cropping my tops.
Yeah, you were cropping. You was. And you got felt up on the dance floor the one night.
I did get felt up on the dance floor.
He did.
Which apparently was a very groping ran rampant in this cruise. Apparently,
yeah. There was a serial groper that they identified, and apparently he got blacklisted from future cruises.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So needless to say, this was Rob's last cruise.
They would.
It would be my first of many.
Actually, it could have been me because my accidental groping.
Patreon.
Oh yeah. I can't tell anyone about that, but I may have done something accidentally. It was totally accidentally.
I told you it's fine. I didn't care.
Total accidentally twice.
Yeah, accidentally twice.
It was. It was. So.
Well, it sounds like fun. I want to go.
Yeah.
2 years. You coming?
Feedback. Yeah. Join us in 2 years, Brody.
Yeah.
You got to watch
the
small room.
That was the most apathetic I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
No, I want to go. I'm in.
No, man. I'm totally there.
Sure, why not?
Our room actually did have a fourth bed, so just saying.
It really?
Oh my God.
That room had a fourth bed?
It did.
It's a changing table. Don't.
Yeah.
Don't. It folds out from the ceiling, Brody. You're suspended you're sleeping on a changing table.
Mm-hmm.
Because my daughter wants to come on the next one too, so we might do the 2-room thing.
Yeah. Ooh, let's go hardcore and get like the presidential suite.
Okay.
Yeah. It'll only be $12,000 per person.
We gotta get.
If we're doing 2
Patreon
rooms, can Nick and I share?
Ooh, can we share a bed? And we'll be like, we swear we're not gay. We swear.
Just a couple.
People walk into a room and we're cuddling in the bed. We're both in a happy, committed relationship. We're just cuddling, guys.
Our significant others are at home. We just came on this cruise together. Just to get away for a couple days.
What happens in Belize stays in Belize.
Yeah. No, it doesn't, because it's all over my legs right now, my friend.
I don't know if they have
and Patreon. And Patreon.
That's a Patreon exclusive as well. I'll tell you all about my rashes I got. It'll be joy-filled. I'll share pictures of everything. Not going to do that. All right, should we move on from the cruise stuff?
Yeah.
What else do we want to
If you guys have any questions for us about cruises, comment below or send us an email, 734.
We will, yeah. And if you're a newer listener from the cruise, let us know. We'd love to have you on to interview you about the cruise.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be great. We'd love to have you. Okay, awkward silence while we move on to the next subject. What was
We're
going to be
waiting
our
for
next
watching
subject?
Joe talk to somebody.
I'm talking to my daughter, who's ready to go to her mom's house for her birthday party.
All right, well, we'll clear out of here real quick. We just got one more.
No, you're good. We're good.
We're good.
She can wait.
Well, I know one thing I want to talk about is I definitely want to talk about Daredevil with our Talk Punch contingent.
Yes.
Okay.
Love it.
Because I just finished the second episode, and it seems like especially Nick and Brody have dissenting opinions.
Possibly. So I'll lay out what I feel at first, Brody, and I'm not going to be really long about it. I'm just going to be very quick.
Sure.
My issue was that it was the Daredevil Matt Murdock from the Netflix series watered down, and also in a sense initially, and the heavy reliance on CGI, especially in the first episode, was very clear to me and bugged me a little bit, because the thing about Daredevil was always about those close, tight fight shots. They were real visceral and real feeling, and get that feeling in that one. I mean, my biggest problem, it was Marvelized, right? Like, it took on some of the goofier, cornier elements, even though it was a dark show. I don't know. But I feel like by episode 2, it kind of course corrected itself. Like, I felt like the pilot, if you will, if you want to call it a pilot, was jamming way too much in the too little of a time, and the dialogue was a little stilted. And then episode 2, it gave itself more room to breathe, and it was a more complete feeling. It reminded me of the original series. But the first episode I struggled with. So that's where I was at.
Interesting. So have you guys followed, like, kind of what happened with this show? And how episode 1 was essentially like a new episode that they had to scrap a lot of the old and redo a lot of it. And then episode 2 was mostly like original, mostly from the original taping. And it's interesting that you say that. We at Talk Punch did a whole review episode, and all three of us loved episode 1, and I think we all gave it like 9s. Okay. And then episode 2, we were down at like 7.5. And so we all liked episode 1 more. Yeah.
That's bad.
And I think we all kind of came down to it. For us, it did feel like the old Netflix series, and kind of brought a lot of that back. And we did get, it felt like it was bringing it back, but also starting a new chapter with like the death of a character, and having like Karen, we aren't sure where that's going, and introducing kind of this new phase of Kingpin. And we just really liked how it was setting all that up for the rest of this season.
See, my history with Daredevil is I hadn't watched the series, the Netflix series. I didn't realize that I had not seen it at all. So in the past 2 months,
I know, right? Because it's such a good series.
So in the past 2 months, I cranked it out before season 4 came out, and this to me, kind of more with Nick, I think, in the long run, because it just me from the storytelling aspect, it felt very disjointed, and I obviously from the production behind the scenes stuff. To me, I noticed that a lot. It took a lot of assumptions, and why is Mahoney not there, and why is this new cop there? And there's a lot of new characters, which I get it, but also they're the best friends, and to me there was a lot of disjointedness to it that didn't get to the original series for it to be a sequel to the original series. So I didn't think it was as mature as the original stuff too, having just watched it all.
Yeah.
And I haven't watched it since it was all coming out on Netflix. So it's been a couple years since I've seen that stuff. And so maybe for me, it's just kind of what I am remembering, as opposed to like watching it almost back to back like you did.
Yeah, I think my biggest thing was that first episode lacked the cohesion I wanted, which makes sense. Again, they reshot this episode because fans were angry about things. They didn't like where the series was going. It's very clear that it was designed initially to be a courtroom procedural show, which is what they said, because that's what episode 2 essentially was.
With no Daredevil. There was no Daredevil in episode
until
And
episode
I'm okay with it.
7 or 8 initially. But I've heard rumors that the suit up is until episode 7 or 8 now still. So
Oh, wow.
we might not get him for a while. I mean, we had the little hint of him at the end of episode 2, but I mean, that was just him reacting to the situation. He didn't really have a choice in that.
To me, that was the most
brutal,
original series moment of both episodes.
Right.
It was like, please don't do this. Please don't do this. That was, to me, was the most similar to the original.
Yeah, and I think, maybe, Brody, what it was for me is I was almost taken out of it right away with the fight with Bullseye, because that fight was, and him running all the way to Hell's Kitchen and then coming back, like the CGI of him going there was very, like, it felt very tacky and bad CGI. And so that kind of initially,
like him doing the swinging and stuff.
Yeah,
yeah. Okay.
Which again, like, should he swing? Yeah, but like, let's find a way to use some practical effects, because it felt like gravity didn't exist in that universe.
And even story wise, that's a great point where the story felt so disjointed and so rushed and so not put together and executed well. And so, differently from Nick, my point of view from that kind of first get go, where I'm like, this just feels odd.
Yeah.
It didn't have the same feng shui of the original.
But you can tell, like, Brody, you can tell how they wrote some
I hate
characters in, like Vanessa. You can tell how they wrote her in. And I think episode 2 has them going to marriage counseling, which is fascinating. You could, like,
with Matt's new girlfriend.
Yeah. Which I like her character already. I'm enjoying her character.
She has a thing in comics.
Bringing Karen and Foggy in was great. I don't like what they had to do. Foggy is one of my favorite characters. Like, in the Netflix series, I loved how Foggy was written.
Spoiler.
I'm a little bummed about that, but I understand why they did what they did. But I'm excited for the rest of the series. After the first episode, I was like, eh. And then I waited till the next day to watch the second one, and then I liked it. So I'm excited for it. I don't know. There's something missing for me, which is interesting because you're the opposite.
So you weren't a fan of that fight with Bullseye then?
No,
either was I.
Well, when they got close quarters, I was. When they got close quarters, I did get to be it. Or like the scene where he hears, I mean, again, spoilers, where he hears Foggy's heartbeat finally stop, and he just pushes him off. Like, kind of dug that. Like, that was kind of a cool scene, and him up there. But it struggled. I don't know. Maybe I need to give it a rewatch, Brody, because maybe it was, my expectations were way too high, and maybe I need to go into it kind of with a clean palate, fresh palate, and kind of just see what I get.
I know Joe has to go soon, so can we come back to Daredevil, because there's one thing I want to talk about with Daredevil. Joe hasn't seen it yet, but hey, Joe, if you're still there,
Joe hasn't seen it yet?
No, he's not.
No, he's not even there right now. He stepped away.
All right.
No, he's back.
No, he's back.
Joe, do we want to talk about the deaths that happened while we were gone? In real life? You're on mute, I think.
You're muted, though, Boo. Well, boo. Oh, my gosh, I can't talk.
Oh, we can talk about the deaths real quick.
I mean, it was some weird stuff going on when we
Joe,
were gone.
who did you kill?
We didn't kill anybody this time.
I
It's
didn't
not our
kill
fault.
anybody. I killed Gene Hackman.
Gene Hackman.
And his dog.
Man, that is the saddest story.
And his wife.
And it's only getting sadder as more details have come out.
To know that she died 10 days before him, and his dementia was so bad he couldn't do anything. So he had
severe dementia.
Severe dementia. So he basically rotted away and died. His dog was in a crate and died as well. The other dogs lived, and I'm thinking they
were outside.
Well, they were outside.
Okay, I didn't hear that part. I was
well,
thinking they lived.
One of them was outside, and then one of them died like next to the wife.
Wow.
Yeah. Then there was one that was in a crate, I think.
Yeah.
So the only dog they had 3 dogs. The only one that lived was the one outside.
That's wild.
I think so.
That is so wild.
The whole thing's
I could be wrong.
And it's just like, you think of Gene Hackman and you're like, of all the ways he could go, he never thought it would be all alone, starving to death with dementia, right? Like with the amount of money he had and the prestige he had.
Yeah.
It's just so sad. And I don't want to diminish his wife's death too. That is sad. She was his lone caregiver and she passes away. I mean, that is just terrible.
And let's talk about the disease for a second. It's something to do with something you can acquire from rodents.
Yeah. So stop making out with rats.
Wow.
All right, fine.
It's the bubonic plague, man. It's making a return.
Man,
well, they were like living because they're in Arizona, right?
Were they?
So I'm wondering if they're more rural, maybe Arizona.
Oh, which would explain why no one probably noticed it right away, or the animal outside was okay because it could probably fend for itself.
I think that it was they were discovered when a rodent person, like a pest control person, came to their house and nobody answered the door.
Oh.
So
apparently the rodent person's not doing their job.
No, apparently the rodent person knew.
Well,
as soon as nobody,
you're never getting rid of
like the rats got him.
Yeah,
the rats got. This is a hopeless case. Just burn it to the ground. That's so sad, though. And so Gene Hackman died. Also, Michelle Trachtenberg died
of liver disease after having a liver transplant,
disease,
right?
After having a liver
of
transplant.
Eurotrip fame. Loved
Eurotrip and Buffy, right? She was in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I didn't watch that one,
yeah,
but I saw Eurotrip.
Nah, she was only 39. Oh my god,
that's crazy.
That's being in my 40s now, like realize like that is so young. 39.
Was that just old. Did she drink through a liver? Did she party through a liver in 39 years? Or
no, I think her liver went and she needed a liver transplant. Yeah, and
wild.
Probably complications. And then
I was under the impression the idea of a transplant is you get a better organ than what you gave up, but
but
your body can reject it though.
Yeah,
especially
if you're not taking your meds, because both my brother and my mother had kidneys from somebody else, so you have to take the meds, the anti-rejection meds, and you have to take care of it and all that other stuff.
And liver transplants are really tricky because most liver transplants used to be from dead donors, right? But now they're starting to transition to using live liver donors because you can cut off a part of your liver and it will regrow. Right. So the survival rate is much higher for live livers, but not many people are willing to do that because the mortality rate for the surgery of that, like in a typical like kidney one, it's like 1 in 1,000 will have complications, but in the liver transplant, it's like 1 in 100. So it's not extremely safe yet. So until they can get to that point where they're relying on live livers, there's always complications involved.
It's wild.
And then,
stuff, man.
The other one, I have to go in a minute. I'll drop off. You guys can continue to talk about Daredevil.
We'll wrap up after you drop off.
That's fine. But I don't mean to laugh, but it was the day that we got off the cruise, Sunday. We disembarked Sunday at 9 a.m. and they turn around the next cruise the same day, and the next cruise was an 80s themed cruise, and they had a ton of bands on there. One of the bands was Faster Pussycat, which I only knew because I bought a record collection from somebody, and there was a Faster Pussycat record in there, and I'm like, I've never heard of this band.
Yeah.
But apparently the story is that one of the band members got into an argument Sunday night with their fiance, who was, I believe, reports are heavily intoxicated. And after that, she got up and jumped off and killed herself.
Off the 8th floor balcony. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which
hopefully
that night it was 12 hours later.
Yeah.
Not even, right? Because we weren't off the ship till 9 o'clock.
Yeah, it was Sunday night, and it was Nick was.
Was it still at port and everything? Or
no,
they
just
left.
They had 3 hours at port.
They hadn't gotten far.
They turned around and came back because I'm sure the band got off. Because how do you continue?
Yeah,
right?
right. What are you going to play a gig that night?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the only thing I think, like my only hope, is that she died on impact, because that would be just a terrible way to go.
Terrible way to
like
go.
just floating in the water looking for rescue and like to drown. Like, wow, that's just a scary thought. And
I mean,
just
8 floors.
8 floors, and it's
I'm just trying to
basically
think, like
you're hitting
At least
concrete
80
at
feet.
that point. Yeah, at least 80 feet. And if you don't know what you're doing, like if you're not a Navy SEAL, you don't know how to jump in water like that, right? So you're hitting it like concrete.
And then it's the ocean or the Gulf.
Yeah, it's not good. Yeah, so that happened on our cruise right after we got off our cruise, and then Robert Orkey passed away as well.
Yeah, from Star Trek.
From Star Trek
2009.
and Transformers
and Lost.
Oh yeah, who cares about Lost? Lost sucks.
I'm kidding.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Kidding. I'm kidding.
All right, Joe.
So,
we know you got to go. Love you, man.
Joe, you want to say bye to everyone?
Bye. This may be the last time anybody ever sees me alive. If so, it's been real.
That's how we transition away from Joe. Like, we brought in Brody here. We have 4 guests, and then Joe dies, and now we're back down to 3.
I'm off. I'm off to greater pastures. So, everybody enjoy Brody. I will be gone. It's the end of my run.
Okay.
Hey, man, feel better, though.
Yeah.
Feel better.
I will. Adios.
Adios. Amigo.
All right. One thing with Daredevil real quick, and then we can booger off and wrap this up.
Booger off. I love it.
What's better than other words?
Yeah.
The people in New York, like out in the street celebrating a mayoral election.
Yeah, on January 1st.
It was so over the top. And then
I thought that was New Year's.
It was, but like,
and he's just the mayor, so he can just put his face on the screens.
Oh, but it read like a victory speech.
And they didn't clear it up very well that it was New Year's and established that. So if you looked off the screen for a second, you were like, like people were like, yeah, he won. And like, I don't know for a mayor if they're going to have such exuberance for it. It felt a little over the top.
Maybe if you're in New York and you've survived an attack by the Chitauri and you've had Spider-Man, maybe. Yeah, right? I don't know. The world has been kind of messed up, and people disappeared and then reappeared.
Yeah, and then how it kind of echoed real world politics with the presidential office. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I kind of want to not have to deal with that in my shows right now, right? Because it's hammered over your head every day. Yeah,
I do want some escapism right now. That's why I would like being on the cruise was great because I didn't have to really deal with that a lot, and it was nice to
think about how funny it is. 10 years ago, it would have felt like escapism. Like there's no way someone like Wilson Fisk can become mayor, and now you're like, that's too close to real.
Yeah, shots fired, Marvel TV.
It's kind of funny in a sad, depressing, existential sort of way.
Yeah, that's the only point I wanted to bring up. I'm like, those 2 points, I guess.
I will say one of the highlights to me was the conversation between Wilson and him in the diner. I like that.
Oh, that was so good.
I love that. Like the tension between the two and how they're both trying to say they're different people, but you can tell they're not.
They both know who the other one is. Fisk knows that Matt is Daredevil. Daredevil knows that Fisk
is the Kingpin. Yeah. Well, and even just later on, the hints where they show him in his mayoral office and his knuckles are all bloody. You know he killed Vanessa's boyfriend at that point, right?
Adam?
He had to have. Or he's still, like, he's not a changed man. He says he is, and he's not. He's obviously faking it. So I'm excited to see how that goes. I know Charlie Cox has said the series ends in a really shocking way that he's like, I don't understand how my character can come back from this. So I'm curious what's going to happen.
Yeah, consider everything he's been through with Elektra and Foggy, for the love of God.
Yeah, does this mean he kills someone? Does this mean he becomes a fugitive?
I mean, if Bullseye didn't have a reinforced metal spine, he definitely would have died when he threw him off.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. They never explained that, did they? In the show? that
No.
he had a
They did at the end of season 3. They show him like on an operating table, and
That's right.
they're working on his spine. It's
They're bringing
I think
back,
they called it like cadmium or
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
a
it's a different
supplement
sort
or
of
whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
not
In the
adamantium,
comics,
but-
it's adamantium. And
Yeah.
now that we have adamantium in the MCU after Captain America, we'll see if that changes again. But yeah, it is supposed to be like a reinforced spine, which
Right.
supposedly like absorb the impact. I don't know. I mean, he's still got like a head, and his head probably should have exploded, from falling
right,
that far
right.
off of a building.
Yeah,
but-
because that was at least 10 stories, I think.
It was, and it
pretty
was
high up
concrete. It was
Yeah.
definitely like a street that he fell on. But
Yeah,
I was glad that he lived, though. I'm a fan of Bullseye. I think when we have so many villains that kind of toe that gray line, and it's like, oh, they're a bad guy, but they're kind of a sympathetic bad guy. It is kind of nice to see a bad guy who is just a bad guy, who
Yeah.
will just kill people and
Who
is
doesn't
totally
care.
fine with it, and will walk up the stairs and punch a lady. Like it's just, he's just a bad guy, and you can just hate him, and I kind of love him for that.
I agree.
That's a very good point, because that is a good part in that fight where he's just throwing his knives and taking people down. He doesn't care. He's killing people after people after people. He don't care.
He turned Daredevil into a pincushion, and he threw
Yeah.
so many
Yeah, he did.
knives into him.
And that was a cool
pretty
visual.
cool, too. That was pretty cool. And I like the fact that, like him up there crying with all the knives stuck out of him, like that. That was great. So maybe I need to go back and rewatch it, Brody. Yeah, maybe.
I mean, I liked it. I can see your points though of, especially if you've seen the Netflix stuff more recently, maybe it doesn't connect as smoothly as it is kind of in my head because it's been a while since I've seen it. But yeah. So for me, I really liked it. I gave it a 9. And then episode 2 I thought was good, but I missed Daredevil, and that's kind of what I'm there for is Daredevil.
No.
Also super sad about the actor that played White Tiger.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He died in like 2021, like shortly after they filmed this, and it was.
Oh no way! I didn't know that.
Yeah, in the very beginning, they say like in loving memory of. I don't remember.
That's who it was for. Okay.
Yeah.
It's for the guy that played White Tiger. And so, cancer. Like cancer just took him out. Like.
Man.
Kind of like
after they
Chadwick
filmed all this.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how much further into the series he goes, but at least they had filmed enough stuff that or far enough back that hopefully he was able to get all that they needed from him. But it sucks. Like he's not going to show up for season 2.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly. He's out. Yeah.
Anyways, then it just sucks. I hate to lose somebody especially to cancer, or not especially cancer, but to cancer, and it just sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I can't wait for episode 3. I am into this series. I love it.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. My expectations have been lowered a little bit, but that makes it sound like I'm not like I think it's garbage. I don't. I think it's still really good. I just think season 1 of Daredevil is like near perfection, and I thought season 3 was really good too. Season 2 is my least favorite, which is Rob's favorite.
I think it is my favorite.
Really?
I think
because
so.
it has Elektra in it. That's why.
Not just Elektra. It has the Punisher in it.
It has Punisher.
Oh yeah.
And I love
it was just
portrayal of Punisher.
Yeah, it was just the hand stuff.
Oh, the hand stuff.
Stuff. Like,
well, I kind of appreciate that because I mean, 3 out of 4 seasons, Wilson Fisk is the bad guy. I don't love that.
Yeah.
It's like we had the Joker 3 out of 4 Batman movies.
I mean, season 3, you also had Bullseye though, who was a big part of it, and kind of
who was hired.
Kingpin was more like an overarching bad guy, but you did have Bullseye throughout.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, and even if you think about the first season, where Kingpin was the ultimate bad guy, he had to work his way up the ladder of bad guy. It was like a video game where he had to go boss level to boss level until he finally got. So, yes, while it was ultimately Fisk, he didn't feel like this. I don't know. He didn't feel like the ultimate series revolved around him at that point.
One of my problems with Daredevil season 3 is similar to my problems with The Dark Knight, is that the villain makes no mistakes. He can anticipate the anticipation to the anticipation of what the people are going to do to anticipate what to do and have a plan set for all that.
Yeah.
And I'm not a fan of that. I think it's lazy storytelling.
Yeah.
Was that Kingpin that you're?
Yeah, that's Kingpin. He knew every reaction and had a plan for everything, and everybody went right into his plan perfectly.
Oh yeah, that's the one where Daredevil becomes the villain, right?
Yeah, he plays everybody against Daredevil.
Where they dress up.
And he knew exactly
Bullseye as Daredevil.
Bullseye as Daredevil. Yeah.
He knew how Daredevil was going to react, so therefore he set him up with Bulls. And just, I'm not a fan of that. Just like the Joker knew everything Batman was going to do.
Oh, in the Dark Knight, yeah, for sure.
Just not a fan of that.
Yeah.
No, I know why it's necessary for the story.
That's
I understand that.
Right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just not a fan of it.
I hear you.
So next week we're back to regular Star Trek? Next Generation?
Yeah, we're back. Yeah. We're back to Star Trek The Next Generation next week with our new host. Joe should still be alive by next week. Fingers crossed for Joe. Everyone say a prayer for Joe.
Yeah. What about you and your leg cancer?
Yeah. Brody, when can you watch Talk Punch? When do you air new episodes? I know you can watch it at any time.
You can watch it at any time. We are putting out, right now, we are on a bi-weekly schedule. We're putting out episodes typically on Wednesdays. Sometimes we drop a kind of special episode. We drop like the Daredevil, because we typically record on Mondays and then we release on Wednesdays. So having Daredevil come out on Tuesdays at 6:30 at night makes it kind of tough to stay kind of in that sweet spot of releasing stuff. And so we are going to be releasing regular reviews of that. So you'll see more stuff kind of dropped at different times, but typically Wednesdays, every other Wednesday. But we we do a lot of lists, a lot of rankings, doing some reviews. So yeah, it's a fun time. Me and two buddies, kind of like Cardassians here. But yeah, we're there.
All right.
You guys having me?
Yeah.
Because I'm a big fan. And do I go and do I listen to this and comment?
You're gonna have to. You don't have.
That'd be a lot of fun. We can see your screen right now.
Yeah, I know, because I was gonna play the music out, sir. But I won't do it this way. I'll do it live.
It'd be funny if Brody commented on our guest Brody.
I may have to. I may have said something dumb where I'm like, that was not right.
You've listened to our podcast before. There's a lot of good things there.
We've been toned down today. We're all behaving today. I think it's because Joe's dying and we feel some sympathy. So we have to be on our best behavior. But
also, we're not in the room together, so that kind of throws up the whole feng shui of it all.
It does. All right, well, I'm going to be fancy and I'm going to edit in some goodbye music at this point. So everyone, thanks for joining us. This is Nick.
This is Rob.
And I'm Brody.
And Brody, thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a great day. Thanks for keeping up with us. And we'll see you back next week for Star Trek The Next Generation.
Whoop, whoop.
Or do it like another one.
Damn, you two, it looks like Jesus does save.
We're doing positive compliments. We're doing positive. My favorite is
Okay.
I think the
That
best.
was decent.
The Native American word for he who squirts.
This is not a question. Say it again. One more time, please. It is now, yeah.
Which mammal's name? This is 51.
Which mammal's name?
Which mammal's name is derived from the Native American word for he who squirts?
Wilson!
Y'all acting out there like you know. Also correct.
JT, I'm gonna go with platypus.
Platypus. Disagree. And well done. Excellent.